Hey there, it's your friendly neighborhood storyteller. I've got a chilling tale to share tonight, one that I've experienced firsthand. So picture this, it's a regular evening. I'm up on the roof of my house, my usual spot. There's something about the night sky that's always been calming to me. The way the stars twinkle, the moon casting its glow. It's like the universe is giving me its own private show. But this night it was different. The evening was colder than usual. I wrapped my jacket tighter around me, feeling the chill creep up my spine. There was an eeriness in the air, like I was being watched. I brushed it off, thinking it was just the cold playing tricks on me. The sky too, it was darker, like when you're in a room and someone dims the lights just a bit, and you can't quite put your finger on what's changed, but you know something's off? That's how it was. The stars were out, yes, but they were faint. Their usual sparkle seemed dulled. The moon, it hid behind a veil of clouds, as if it too was part of this strange symphony the night was playing. I remember thinking, maybe it's gonna rain. But there wasn't a drop in sight. The wind was still, the trees stood silent. Even the usual chorus of crickets seemed to have taken the night off. It was like nature itself was holding its breath, waiting for something. I felt this anticipation, this tension in the air. It was unsettling. But hey, I'm not one to be easily spooked. I shrugged it off, deciding to enjoy my time under the stars, or what was left of them. I settled down, looking up at the night sky, ready to get lost in its vastness. It was just another evening, or so I thought. At first, I thought it was just the wind, but then it happened again. A stray whisper, like a soft sigh, was carried on the breeze. It was so faint that I wasn't sure I'd heard anything at all. But then, there it was again, a little more distinct this time. The whisper was too soft for me to understand, but it had an eerie tone that sent shivers down my spine. At first, I dismissed it as my mind playing tricks on me. After all, it was late. I was alone on the roof, and the only light came from the moon's soft glow. But as the nights wore on, the whispers became more frequent. They'd creep into my thoughts just as I was about to drift off to sleep, their haunting tone echoing in the silence of the night. The whispers were no longer just whispers. They were loud, almost as if someone was speaking directly into my ear. But there was no one around, just the cold, crisp night air and the distant sound of traffic. I tried to ignore them, tried to convince myself that it was just the wind, but it was becoming increasingly difficult to do so. I would sit up on the roof, straining to make out the words, but they were always just out of reach, like a song you can't quite remember the lyrics to. The more I tried to understand, the louder they became. It was as if they were desperate to be heard, desperate to relay some important message. Each night, I'd sit there, huddled in my jacket, listening to the whispers grow louder and more insistent. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. The whispers were no longer just an eerie sound carried on the wind, they were a warning. And then, one night, as the whispers reached a fever pitch, I saw it. A figure, barely visible in the moonlight, was slowly emerging from the shadows. Its form was indistinct, like a wisp of smoke, but it was there. That's when I saw it, a shadowy figure emerging from the darkness. My heart pounded in my chest as I saw the figure move closer. I was on the roof, the cool evening breeze brushing against my skin. A shadow, darker than the night itself, was inching its way toward me. It wasn't like anything I'd seen before. It was as if it was flickering in and out of existence, like a faulty light bulb. The city lights below were dim, but this figure, this shadow, it was darker, deeper. It was a void that sucked in all the light around it, leaving nothing but an eerie darkness. I rubbed my eyes, thinking it was just my tired mind playing tricks on me. But when I opened them again, it was still there, growing larger, looming over me. I tried to look away, to ignore it, but it was like a magnet. My eyes were drawn to it, its presence so overwhelming that it was impossible to ignore. It was as if it was focused on me, and only me. Its non-existence presence was more prominent than the city's skyline that stretched out below me. I felt a shiver run down my spine, a wave of fear washed over me, and my hands began to shake. I could feel my heart pounding in my ears, a rhythmic reminder of the reality I was facing. The shadow didn't move like a person, it was more like a shapeless mass, shifting and changing with each passing second. I tried to convince myself that it was just a trick of the light, a figment of my imagination. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. There was something about that shadow, something that filled me with a sense of dread. The cold night air was filled with an unexplainable sense of foreboding. The rooftop, once a sanctuary, now felt like a trap. I was alone with this thing. I couldn't ignore it any longer. I had to investigate. This shadowy figure was an enigma, and I needed to know what it was. I steeled myself, took a deep breath, and stepped closer, ready to face whatever this was head on. This was where my very, very horror story truly began. With every ounce of courage I could muster, I decided to confront the figure. My heart was pounding like a drum in my chest, the pulse in my veins a loud echo in my ears. I wasn't the brave type, far from it actually. But there was something about that shadowy figure, something that made me want to know, to understand. So I started my descent from the roof, each step on the ladder creaking under my weight. The night air was chilly, a biting wind brushing past my skin, making goosebumps rise. My breath hitched in my throat as I reached the last rung of the ladder, my feet now touching the ground. The whispers were louder now, a constant hum in the background like a radio playing in a distant room. But where was the figure? I looked around, my eyes straining to pierce the darkness. Nothing. Just the empty expanse of the yard, the shadows cast by the moonlight creating eerie patterns on the grass. Confusion bubbled up within me, mixed with a heavy dose of fear. Where could it have gone? I took a step forward, my shoes crunching on the gravel. The whispers were louder now, almost deafening. It was a chorus of voices, some low and gruff, others high and shrill. It was like they were all around me, surrounding me, and then, as if a switch had been flipped, I understood. The whispers weren't just noises, they were words. Words that sent a chill down my spine, making the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. "The warning," they said over and over again. "The warning." I stood there rooted to the spot, the chilling words echoing in my ears. The figure was gone, but it had left something behind. Something far more terrifying than a shadowy form on the roof. The whispers weren't just noises, they were words, a warning. The whispers became a voice that sent shivers down my spine. It was no longer a distant murmur. It was clear, direct, and chillingly close. A voice that cut through the silence of the night like a knife. A voice that echoed in the hollows of my mind with a stark, bone-chilling warning. In the dead of the night, under the shadowy cloak of darkness on the roof of my house, the voice spoke. It was a voice I had never heard before. A voice that seemed to come from the very fabric of the night itself. It was a voice that held an ominous tone, a tone that spelled out danger in no uncertain terms. The voice didn't state what the danger was or where it was lurking. It merely advised me to leave, to get out of there as fast as I could. I was left in a state of shock, my heart pounding against my chest like a hammer against an anvil. My breath hitched in my throat, my hands trembled, and all I could do was stand there, frozen in fear. The voice repeated its warning, its tone growing more urgent, more desperate. It was as if it was pleading with me to heed its warning, to escape the impending doom that was lurking around the corner. I felt a cold dread seeping into my bones, a terror that gnawed at my sanity. I stood there on the roof, alone with this voice, this warning. The terror was real, palpable, a living entity that seemed to consume me. The silence of the night was shattered by this voice, this warning, this harbinger of doom. I wanted to move, to run, to escape this impending doom, but I was stuck, rooted in place by an overwhelming fear. The warning echoed in my mind, a chilling reminder of the danger that was yet to come. And then, just as abruptly as it started, everything went silent, leaving me alone in the darkness. The voice was gone, the warning was gone, but the fear, the terror, they remained, a chilling reminder of the horror that was yet to come.